Hi, it's Everett, Everett's Watercolors. Welcome to my studio. Today is another demonstration painting watercolor, and it'll be some more information about some techniques and so forth that I'm really looking forward to. I'm going to be painting concrete bricks today on a building, and it's just to me, I want a study of texture and colors, and I'm going to use some other techniques that I've not used before in a long time. So you might be interested in that. So join me on my program here, and if you give me a thumbs up and a like, I'd appreciate that. So go back to my overhead camera. Okay, well this is the subject matter today. This is a building which I picked up here, and I've also this is the brickwork up here in the front. You can see the concrete bricks, which are very popular in some construction areas and so forth. But I'm going to do these, and I really like the way they're presented, how they're done, the texture on them and so forth, the coloring. Now I made some changes here to this photograph. This photograph I took on site, but I'm going to make some changes to that. And let me show you what I did. My drawing here, my design drawing, I simplified the rooftop a little bit with that one center section, and eliminated some of the extra places in the building and so forth, because the building is not important. That's the background. The most important section is here in the foreground, which is the steps in the concrete. I've gone ahead and did a little value study where you can see the rooftop is going to be dark and everything else will be lighter. And there's a shadow pattern underneath. But I made quite a few changes, especially in the front area here, the section above the steps. I want to simplify that. Okay, so that's my simplified drawing and value layout. So let me put that aside. And there go close up of my design drawing. So what I'm going to do is transfer that drawing to my quarter sheet of watercolor paper. Measures 15 inches by 12 inches wide. And what I've done here now, I've gone ahead and put the design in there. And what I've gone and for the brickwork, because there's those light layers between the bricks, what I've done is I put a little bit of masking fluid on the brick. It'd be easier for me to show you what it looks like, rather than try to paint between the bricks and so forth. So I'm going to go ahead. I put some masking fluid in here to take the place of the mortar inside between the bricks. Okay, so that'll leave the paper white until I ready to color it in later, if I choose to. Okay, so I want to get started here with my painting. I'm going to be using a 3/4 inch flat Holbein brush, synthetic, and a 1/2 inch flat brush, and probably maybe a round, the 8-inch round. These are all Holbein brushes, 8-inch round, 3/4 inch flat, and a 1/2 inch flat. These are all synthetic brushes, but they're also very good. And they're on my website, everettwatercolors.com, if you're interested. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to start with really simple. I'm going to put in the sky. And I'm going to use, now when I start with this painting, a little cobalt blue up here. We'll put cobalt blue in the sky. I'm going to use, I'm not going to change the paint. I'm not going to wash out the brush at all. I'm just going to use the same colors I have in the brush. And that'll give me a little bit of continuity, I think, in the paint, a little bit of unity. So I'm going to start with the sky, load up that brush. And I'm going to go ahead and put that right up here above the rooftop. Load that brush again. Back and forth a little bit. And I'm not going to worry about any clouds today. This is going to be just a simple blue sky behind the building. This is all simplify the painting. That's not the important part of what I want you to show. Pick up that blue, bring it down here to the corner of this rooftop, and then there's a little bit of sky here on the bottom, below the rooftop. Get that in there, and the edge of the building. Okay, so I roughed that in real quickly. Now I'm spreading the paint out to make sure that there's equal. What you do is try to keep equal wetness across the painting, so there's no. I don't want to have any any blossoms up in the sky. So make sure make sure it's constantly wet across the top of the painting. Now I got this taped down on the edges. I'm going to wipe off the edges here to keep the excess water off the edge of the painting. There. Okay, so that's just a plain blue sky. Now, while that's drying, I'll leave it alone. I'm going to mix up the colors now for the building, and I'm going to use the same brush. I haven't washed it out. Just put a little water in it. I'm going to pick up a little bit of peacock blue. It's just peacock blue over here, which is a beautiful blue. I'm going to use peacock blue for the building itself. It'll be different than the sky, but it's also a light color. And I'm going to add a little bit of yellow lemon to that. I'm going to put a little bit of yellow, so it'll be a limey color, lime, mainly peacock blue. So I used the same, mixing up right over that where I had the blue for the sky. So I mean the colors are all mixing together, and that's fine. Pick up a little more of that yellow lemon. So now I'm going to go ahead and paint in the building. I'm going to use my diagram here that I'm started. So the building over here is a window over here, so I'm going to leave that alone. So I'm going to get the rooftop next, but right now I'll just get the sides of the building here done. And you'll notice I'm painting right on dry paper. Wet on dry. So this is a different color blue with it's got a little greenish flavor. It's got a little teal color to it, a little bit of green mixed in with that blue. Gives it a special color. I love this color. It's really beautiful. And see, I get underneath the window here, and right on top of the bricks here. I'll go across there. I'll be very careful. Give me watch the edge a little bit. Again, trying to keep the moisture of the paint the same, so we don't have any backwashes or blossoms. Keep the paint consistent. Okay, then I'm going to go across here, and I'm going to let's see. I think what I'll do is I'll put a little bit of that. No. Okay, I'm going across to the other side. There'll be a window over here, and I'll paint a little bit over that, but that's okay. We're going to change that anyway with another color. So the top of the brickwork here. So I'm not too concerned with the building itself. I mean, this is fine. I mean, I'm just getting a color in there, and to make it interesting. But it's not the most important part of my lesson today. The lesson is going to be working on the bricks. So come on down here to the edge of the building. Get the wall in. Load up that brush. Now watching the edge here with the brickwork, so it comes up to the edge. Keeping the paint same moisture, so I'm going over it, keeping the same wetness all the way across. So when you paint an area, you want to try to keep that area the same consistency of wetness in the brush. You don't have it dry in one place and wet in another, because it will you'll get a blossom. And blossoms are okay. I mean, they're nothing to worry about. They're going to be fixed. And now I'll come down along the edge. This is the edge of the building over here, and we'll finish this off. Come down to this part here, the edge of the building. Watch the edge of this. Watch the edge of the building over here, so it's nice next to the sky. Okay. All right. Well, let that dry by itself. Okay. I think what I'll do though, while I got a chance here, I'm going to put a little bit of just to dry it a little bit. So I'll use my dryer, my Ranger craft dryer. Run across the top. The sky should be dry by now. It's fairly dry, just along the edge. But now I'm going to paint the rooftop in. Get that out of the way. I use the back of my hand and check that if it feels warm, then I know it's dry. The sky is dry. Okay. All right. Okay. So now my next area is going to be the rooftop. All right. Now I'm going to mix up a dark color here. So I'm going to use quite a bit here. I'm going to use quinacridone violet, a little bit of alizarin crimson. Right here on the edge of the pile. That's red. Nice dark red, rich quinacridone violet. Put that in there. Up here, ultramarine blue. A little bit of burnt sienna, and Payne's gray. Now you pick up a little bit of Hooker's green. So I got quite a mixture up here. But I want it to be a dark color, and it's going to be a multicolor. Even pick up some of that blue I have here. We're done with that green, so mix it in. That way I can use some of my palette colors. But I just want a dark mix. Cover that area. So I want to be dark, so I need to have it pretty thick with paint. Remember, paint paint dries lighter. Paint dries lighter when it dries. It looks dark when you get started, but by the time it dries, now I'll get the top edge up here, top of the rooftop. Following my design line, my drawing I've had on the paper. I think it's some more. I thought when you think you have enough paint, you really need more. It's probably one of the hardest things to judge is how much paint you need to mix in there. But you got a large area like this, make sure we mix up with lots of paint. Cover that area, and keep it wet and dark enough to cover up the space. Come down here to the corner. Get the roof edge along there with the edge of the brush. Maybe about one more stroke, we should have it finished. The bottom of the roof here, edge. Using this 3/4 inch synthetic brush from Holbein. One more little point over here. The point of the roof over here. There. Okay. Make sure I've covered all the white spaces. Okay, well there's a rooftop. And we're done with that. Okay. Now the next thing I'm going to do is, that's going to dry by itself. I'm not going to worry about that. Okay, I'm going to start painting the concrete bricks. Okay, so down here I'm going to have a mixture. I'm going to still use the same brush. It's still got the same paint in. I washed it out. Yeah, just keep mixing it up with different colors. But down here I'm going to have ultramarine blue, a bit of burnt sienna. I'm going to make a nice gray for those bricks. And paint, and a little bit of Payne's gray to give me a darker value. So I've got a light and a dark mixture here. Need a little water with this. So what I'm going to do now, this section in here, now the light's coming from this direction, from left to right. So this section here is going to be lighter. This forward section here is going to be darker to differentiate between the edge here. So I'm going to start with this lighter value here. And I just add a little water to the brush because I want to have a variety here. It's not, I don't want all the same value. These bricks are not, these concrete bricks don't have the same value. Some are lighter, some are darker, depending on how they're covered. Bring it on down to the edge here. Okay. Now what I'm going to do now in that section there, I'm going to leave it pretty well alone. Now I'm going to have a much darker. I'll let that kind of set for a while. Now I have another light area over here, so I'm going to use that same mixture of gray. This area here is also lighter on this section right here. So we'll use the same value of the gray on this section. And I can put that same value here on the side here in the front. There's a section here of bricks on the side of this section over here. Okay. All right, let's see. I'll add a little more water to this mix now because this section back here is a little bit further back. I'm going to make this even lighter. So as we go back into the painting, the values get lighter. Okay. I'm going to take my round brush, and what I'm going to do is there's these steps along here. I'm going to be a little more definition here on the steps. Make sure I have an edge here. Come down, define these edges of these steps a little better. There, okay? So I use a round brush for that. Now I'm just checking the edges of my mixture here to make sure I'll cover up some of the white paper. The only thing it's going to be showing is the white from the masking fluid. Okay. Wiping some of that up a little bit there. Okay, let that one dry a little bit. Okay, I think while that's drying, I'm going to maybe work here on the foreground just a little bit. Now, I'm using the photograph kind of as a reference. This section in here is going to be light also. The sun's hitting it, so this is going to be very light here. The sun's hitting this section. It's flat, so the sun is hitting that very hard at this point, the sunlight. So I'm just going to make this a very smooth, and this is a smooth application of not only the concrete but also color. But what I'm going to do now is to give this thing a little variety. I'm going to make it look, as I come forward, I'm going to make it a little bit darker on the foreground section. So I have a gradual shift of value here as I come forward. This is a flat surface, so I need to have some kind of depth perception here. So I make that the back edge light. As I come forward, I get a little bit darker in value. That gives the impression of depth of that particular surface. Now let that all dry, and what I can start mixing up here in this section here. Now this face here, and what I'm going to do something different. I'm going to take a little bit. Now this is salt. These are salt flakes. They're sea salt, but it's flakes. So I'm going to use a little bit of salt. And that's going to add texture here to this design. So I'm going to take this salt while it's still wet. I'm going to put a couple pieces of this rock salt in there. And I'm going to put some over here. So there's going to be a little bit of texture here from the salt. You put salt on it, it'll give you a little bit of different texture on the lookout of this. We're going to see that when I get it finished. Okay. All right. So that's called sea salt flakes. Okay. It's a natural product. Okay. Now this section over here I'm going to make darker as I come forward. So I'm going to add a little more Payne's gray to that mix. This area here is going to be a little bit darker coming forward. This part of the brickwork. But then I'm also going to have some light areas in here. So I don't want all to be the same. So I've got a variety of values here. Some lights and some darks. Okay. Then I'm going to take my round brush here now, and I'm going to fill in those little white areas. Kind of clean up the edges a little bit here with the round brush. Okay. And I'm also going to put a little bit of salt in there also, because I want to have texture on this wall. Okay, so now I'm going to put a little bit more rocks in there, rock salt or sea salt, whatever they call it. So this is all experimental. We'll see what it looks like when I'm done. Hey. Now over here, this foreground layer is going to be darker, but I can put a little bit. There's a wall behind here. There's 3 walls here. Actually, there's 3 sections. So I'm going to try to separate these with different values. Be like a middle value here. A little more Payne's gray now on this. And this forward wall is going to be darker. This part of the wall goes all the way across the front of this section here. And what I'll do is I'll take my round brush. I'm going to leave a white edge on this one, showing that there's a layer on top which is hitting the sun. So the top layer is going to have a little bit of light on it. Okay, now over here though, now I've got just regular table salt here, little container. So I'm going to sprinkle some of that on here. This is something else. Again, this is experimental. So it's a little bit of table salt with a little bit of sprinkler on it. So I'm just going to sprinkle this on. Get that texture on the bricks a little bit over in the background. Yeah, okay. Okay, now that'll give it a little rough, grainy look of what I want to find, what I want to see. Let's see. Now, while I'm here, this section here is going to be darker too because it's out of right now direct sunlight. The sunlight's on the left, so we'll make this a little bit darker than the sunlight side. A little more value over here. This sunlit side I want to have much darker. It's not in shadow, but it's not direct sun also either. Okay. Now I got one more section back there, real light, so a lot more water in the brush. It's going to be a real light gray back here. So there's 3 layers here on this one section here. I'm going to leave a little white edge here between the rows. Leave that section alone. And let's see now. There's just a couple of small areas I just want to fill in. We got now these concrete and so forth. When they mix it, they have different colors. So this one's going to have a little bit of lighter value, and it's got kind of a warmer color. So in the foreground here, this part of the brick is going to have a little bit of warmth. So I put a little bit of yellow ochre in with that gray mix. Right here at the bottom, a little bit of yellow ochre. So this forward section here, the forward part is going to have a little bit of warmth to it, just a little bit of warmth. make it a little bit different. Okay. And this section, I'm going to fill this section over here. It's going to be that light gray. Just one step. There's gray bricks over here on the side. And there's a row of brick. I'm just going to put some gray in here just to fill this in. Okay. All right, now for the steps themselves, that's also got this. It's not gray. It's got kind of a, let's see, got that warm. So I'm going to make the steps a little bit warmer. They're made out of bricks. They're made out of concrete, and the concrete has a little bit more sand in it, and so it's got a warmer texture. So I'm going to put a little more yellow ochre here in this mix here. And I'll go ahead and paint the steps, but they'll have a warm. They'll separate that from the bricks themselves. Alright, so now I'll take my small brush, round brush, and I'll fill in the edges here. Be sure I got a nice straight edge. So this concrete here will separate. This is concrete separate from the bricks themselves. So it has a different value, which is light. And it's also got a different color. It's got more warm color, almost like this foreground over here in the foreground section. Okay, all right. Okay, that's pretty much so far. What I want to do is finish off the edge here. There's a little bit of concrete down here at the bottom layer here, at the bottom of the step here. There, okay. Now, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to work on the windows. The windows are very simple. They're going to be I'm going to make those a dark. They're in shadow, so they're going to just be a dark. I'm going to use ultramarine blue and Payne's gray. Make a nice. These are all in shadow, so it's going to be a very dark blue mix with ultramarine blue and. So right now I'm going to go ahead and paint the windows in. So this window here is in shadow. Okay, that's one window. The other window, I added this window here, different from the photograph, but I just wanted to make this kind of a opposite to the other side. So this is one thing I changed in the actual photograph. I thought it would simplify the composition a little bit and simplify the design by putting another window over here, because the building had a little different structure at this point. So I changed it a little bit to make it easier to not only paint it, but to make it simpler as far as the building goes itself. Because the story today is just painting the bricks is what I really want to get across. Okay, so that's the other window. Now the doorway, there's a doorway here, and I'm going to use the same colors. And it's a big window, it's a big glass doorway, but it's also in shadow. Using a 3/4 inch brush, which does a great job. I can use the corner of the brush to get design. Just works just like a round brush when you use the corner of the brush. And then a straight edge comes to a sharp edge to get a nice sharp line. Keep the top of that staircase a little bit lighter. Okay, all right, and we'll let that dry. Okay, now I'm going to add I'm going to add a shadow pattern. The light's coming from this direction, so what I'm going to do is put a little bit of shadow pattern there. So I'm going to go ahead and mix up some shadow color, and I'm going to use quinacridone violet, a little bit of purple mixed in with that ultramarine blue. Burnt sienna. It'll be a dark, but it's going to have a blue, purplish cast to it, a warm shadow. So this shadow now comes off of this wall here onto the steps. The light's coming from that direction, from the left side. So this will be the shadow that's cast from the brick wall onto this set of steps. And I think this makes it very dramatic. I really like this effect here. There's a cast shadow. From that brick wall. Okay. Now the other thing I want to put on now, I'm going to mix up this light area down on the bottom. It's just going to be a light. Let's see, ultramarine blue. This is a little bit of dirt mix down here at the bottom, so I'm going to use a little bit of burnt sienna and some yellow ochre. Maybe a little bit of hooker's green, just give it a little bit of green tint with grass and so forth. So this is just going to be the dirt down here at the bottom. Make it darker. Remember, it looks dark now, but when it dries up, it'll be much lighter. Now come across here with that dirt mixture a little more yellow ochre in there. So right now, when this building, this is under construction. So these are just a rough. These are just rough construction here with some bricks, and there's also they got dirt down here at the bottom. This will all be look much better when the building is finished. This is just the roughness now. It's under construction. There's a good lesson here. Every time you mix the paint, you have to make enough to cover the areas. You can see me, I've had to remix a couple times because I ran out of paint. So you have to be aware of that. I try to mix more than I need, but sometimes with the paint stroke and this is dry paper and everything, it takes a little bit more paint than what you had planned. That's why you always want to try to prepare as much as you can. You always go back and remix, but it also takes time. And look at this. This comes over here. This is all background grass and dirt behind next to the bricks over here. Okay. There's a tree line over here, which is really dark. It doesn't really have much to say, but there is a tree line over here, so I'll put some trees back here. Kind of break off or clean off the edge of the building. There. Okay. Okay, now the last thing I want to do, and I'll take the masking fluid off here pretty soon. I'm gonna make some trim around the windows. They look a little bit better. So I'm gonna take a little bit of burnt sienna, Payne's gray, make a nice dark brown, and maybe a little bit of ultramarine blue. And I'm going to go ahead and put in some design work here. And this is part of that doorway, so I'm going to go ahead and put an edge on this doorway opening. And I'm going to put an edge around the windows. May give them a frame, a dark frame, which is what they have. And that'll also clean off the edge of the window outline. Okay, all right, let that dry. Okay, I got to put a little more shadow up. I'm going to put a little shadow on the rooftop, and then I think I can go ahead. Let me see if it's dry enough. Yeah. Let me blow dry just a little bit. I'll put a little. Make sure we get the paint dry before I take off the masking fluid. And we still got the salt on there. That's dry. That's dry. Okay, pretty well take it off. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take us over to my trash can and I'll shake off the salt. Okay, now you can see the rough texture in those bricks. This is what I was looking for. Okay. Those bricks are not smooth. They will when they finish the building. They'll probably paint those bricks with something. So, but right now, I'm going to put a little more paint down here. So the salt got into which is okay. Don't worry about that. Okay, now what I'm going to do now, make sure it's dry. I'm going to do another pass here with the blow dryer before I take that masking fluid off. Okay, it feels nice and dry. Okay, all right. So what I'm going to do now is remove the masking fluid. So this is a mask. This is the cement pickup. It's a piece of rubber that goes with it. But when you get the masking fluid, you need to have a rubber cement pickup in order to take. So I'm going to start here with the steps. Pull that off. You can see there I left me the edges because the light's hitting that edge of the steps. Now run my other hand over to make sure I've removed the masking fluid. Okay, now we'll come over here to this side. Double check it. Okay, put that aside, that's done. All right, now I can go back and do maybe a little bit of cleanup on some of the edges. I think what I'll do is I'm gonna put a shadow under the eave here. So I'm gonna use that shadow color I used before. I used ultramarine. I used quinacridone violet. A little bit of quinacridone violet, a little bit of ultramarine blue. That's my shadow color. Maybe a hint of Payne's gray in there. Okay, so now I'm going to go under here now, and I'm going to paint in the shadow under this eave of this roof. Okay, that's the shadow on the roof. I'll leave it alone. You'll be able to see that when it dries. You'll be able to see the actual colors behind that. Okay, so that's the shadow pattern from the roof. A little more paint up there some of the paint has dried lighter on the rooftop. So while I got this extra painting here, I'll just pick it up and stick it on that color to darken that up. So now I'm just doing some final touches here to the painting. Okay. All right. So, I could go in and touch up the bricks and so forth, but, I really wanted to show you that's exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to do the structure where I had the bricks, and you can see the brickwork in between. I was looking at the values, and I may want to adjust just a little bit more value change. Let me take a little bit of that light gray. A little bit of shadow here, just a slight little correction here. A little shadow in this section here. Okay. All right, there's my drawing of painting concrete bricks. But I used this building here as an example of what I used it for, and then I used the masking fluid to mark off the edges and so forth. Now I could go through and eliminate some of those, but I just want to leave that alone. I think I'll leave that alone for right now. I think it came out very impressive. So very good. That's the completed painting of the concrete bricks. And I'll put a mat around it. Makes it look even better. So there's a completed painting with matted in, with the brickwork and so forth, and I think it turned out really nice. All right, let's take it back to the main camera. All right. Okay, well that was a good exercise. If I like painting bricks. I mean, it's just a lot of fun the way they're set up and so forth. But I had to take a little bit of preparation just to make sure that I had some definition of the bricks. So that's why I used the masking fluid. If I was painting it a long time, I could probably paint the bricks and leave a little bit of the white showing by leaving the brush strokes open. I could leave a little gap between bricks and so forth. But that takes a little more time to do it that way. This way I put the masking fluid on, then I can just paint over the bricks, check the values, and then move on. So that's why I did that. But the shadow pattern on the building was good, and the shapes and so forth. It turned out really nice. And the color combination of the building and the bricks, I think it worked out nice. So those things you have to take into consideration. Now the thing I want to point out again today was you look at the size of the space you have to cover, and you have to mix enough paints to cover the area. You can see I had to go back and reload and make another mix. So even I had a little bit of shortage in some areas, so I had to go back and do it. So you really had to mix a lot of paints. I kept my palette pretty basic with just 4 colors. I didn't get too carried away with too multicolors. So it was a lot of blue, some brown, some gray areas. So I mixed in those colors, even with a little bit of green here and there. But the point was I limited to a minimum number of colors on the painting, so that if I had to go back and remix, it wasn't going to be that big of a deal. Okay, and you can always make a bigger batch. So, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up and a like. I appreciate that. And if you subscribe to this channel, you'll be notified of my next video. I'll be back again with Everett, simply drawing with Everett, with a drawing exercise. You might enjoy that. It's very short. It's a shorter section, but it's very informative on how to draw different subjects, and look over the drawing techniques. And then on Sunday, I put out a video called "Anyone Can Draw with One Line Only," and you might enjoy that. Now, if you subscribe to this channel, you'll be notified of all the videos coming up on my YouTube channel. So until then, you all stay safe, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.